بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Some talk about elections and voting, and you may start to hear some strange ideas and strange statements. People will start to say and speak about what the Muslim should do in the time of the election. What is the role of a Muslim during these elections? And in order to answer that, we need to know what are these elections about in reality, and what does Islam say about that reality in the Sharia, and so therefore what should we do? These are the three things we want to ask. What are these elections? What does Islam say about it? And so therefore what should we do? What are elections? To answer that question, it's a process for selecting or choosing something. Okay, that's simple. It's a process of choosing something. So obviously we know how they work. Everybody makes a choice, and the idea is that whatever the majority they say about that choice, we will accept and we will fulfill it, we'll implement it. And they will tell you, the Muslims, some Muslims will tell you that, well, look, the Prophet ﷺ, he made sure sometimes with the Muslims, and he made it binding upon himself that whatever the majority says, that he will accept it. And this is true. In some cases he did this, even if he disagreed. For example, in the Battle of Khandaq, the trench, he asked them, should we fight them in Medina or go out and meet them? And he went with the majority decision, even if he thought another option was better. So this is one example of that. So the idea of having a choice and going with the majority opinion is not by itself something which is haram or a sin. There are three types of elections, simply. There could be permissible elections, or votes. For example, should we fight the kuffar in the city or outside? Should we fight the kuffar inside the city or outside the city, and go out to meet them in the fields, in the desert, or in their own cities maybe as well? This is the question. Or it could be, should we invade Persia or Rome first? Or both? What do you think? Shall we conquer Rome, or should we conquer Bilad al-Faris first? Should we conquer the White House, or should we conquer the Greenhouse? It's up to you. This type of election is permissible. Choose your favorite chocolate. Let's have a vote today. Brothers, what do you want to have for dinner tonight? You want to have pizza? You want to have Turkish kebab? Or you want to have chicken and chips? Up to you. Have a shura, have a vote. The majority wins. Okay, we'll go with whatever the majority wants. This is permissible. This is allowed. Then you have other types of elections which are haram. And it's really a simple equation. If you're choosing something permissible, it's a permissible election. If you're choosing something haram, it's a haram vote or election. It's haram to vote in the issue. So for example, should we drink whiskey or wine? There's no halal option. Forget about lesser of the two evils. It's not about, which one has less alcohol in it. It doesn't matter, they're both haram. Forget about lesser of the two evils. They're both evil. Why do you have to choose evil for? Choose this one, It's better for you, it's permissible. Why do you have to go for the wine or the whiskey for? Do you drink alcohol? He said, no, I don't. I just drink beer. For him, beer has really just a small amount of alcohol, not like the others who get drunk. For us, I don't understand the difference. The alcohol is alcohol. It's the same thing. But for him, he's thinking this is the lesser of the two evils. For us, they're both alcohol. What's the difference? Oh, do you take drugs? No, I just smoke cannabis. Yeah, it's drugs. It's still haram. It's still intoxicants. Don't tell me lesser of the two evils. So haram is haram. The lesser of the two evils is still evil. The lesser of the two haram is still haram. We don't have this idea or this choice. There's a hadith about the one who's given a choice between three. The choice of zina or alcohol or murder. So he took what he thought was the lesser of the three evils. So he started to drink alcohol and became drunk. While he was drunk, he went with a woman, committed zina, and while they were committing zina, the baby was crying, and so he murdered the baby. All because he's drunk. Imam Nawawi said his mistake was, he took one of the choices. Why did he take a choice for? He should have left all of them. That was the best option. Voting is an amana, we have to choose one of them, and so we have to choose the lesser of the two. Why do you have to choose any of them for? Why not remove all of them? Remove the whole parliament and establish Islam. No, you become Khawarij. So these are options, inshallah. Zina, alcohol, murder, this type of election or voting or choice is completely haram. You can't make these choices. Or shirk elections. For example, you want to choose, shall we worship Allah or shaitan? if you want to make an election about this, you're committing shirk in Allah. Shall we obey Iblis or Fir'aun? Okay, both of them are shirk. Both of them kufr. Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِنْ أَطَعْتُمُوهُمْ إِنَّكُمْ لَمُشْرِكُونَ. If you obey them, you're mushrikeen. So how can you take one of these options? You want to say now, is Labour our Lord or is Conservative? Okay, and why do I say Lord? Why? Because Allah Ta'ala declared the one who legislates laws, that is your Lord. اتَّخَذُوا أَحْبَارُهُمْ وَرُهْبَانُهُمْ أَرْبَابًا مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ. They took their rabbis and priests as lords instead of Allah. Why? Because they made haram halal and halal haram. What do you think the MPs do in the parliament? They sit there debating according to their own desires and their own opinions. What should be halal, what should be haram, what should be legal, what should be illegal. That is the job of the MPs. So the idea that we can make man a legislator instead of Allah, that is shirk in the first place. We don't involve in that shirk. And somebody could say, well, what about the maslahah, the benefit? Okay, what about the benefit in voting for these, the lesser of the two evil MPs? I say there's no such thing as maslahah in shirk. It's impossible. Ibn Taymiyyah said, الشرك والظلم والقول على الله بغير علم والفواحش ما ظهر منه وما بطن لا يكون فيها شيء من المصلحة. The shirk and the oppression and speaking about Allah without knowledge and the unlawful sexual act hidden and apparent, there is no way for there to be any maslahah in them whatsoever. No way. The Sharia is perfect and complete. If there is benefit to be found and the Sharia does not command to it, that means the Sharia is imperfect, and the Sharia is not imperfect. The Sharia is perfect. It's our aqeedah. If you think the Sharia missed something and there's benefit to be found by disobeying Allah, there's something wrong with your aqeedah. Something seriously wrong with your aqeedah. So this is what we need to understand. So we need to understand, what is this shirk? What is this kufr? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is al-hakam al-adl. He is al-musharri', the legislator, the commander. He is al-amir. He is al-mukallif, the one who makes you accountable and responsible. Nobody else can do that. That belongs to Allah exclusively. As the Lord, unless you created, you don't have the right to command. And nobody shares with Allah in His creation at all. So Allah is the creator, we are the creation. Allah is al-ma'bud, the one who is worshipped, and we are al-ibad, the ones who worship. Allah is the one who is obeyed, and we are the ones who obey Him. He is al-hakam, He is the one who rules and legislates, and we are the ones who obey, and we seek judgment from Him. That's what we need to understand, our relationship between us and Allah. When you start to give that relationship to man, or you start to choose, decide, should we or shouldn't we? That's when we start to disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ahzab verse 36, وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَن يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخِيرَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ. It is not correct for any believing man or woman, okay, believing man or believing woman, when Allah and His Messenger have already decided a matter, that they should have any choice in the matter at all. Okay? What choice exactly? Like imagine you ask istikhara to Allah, oh Allah, should I obey you or not? What do you mean by it? It's not allowed to make this istikhara. Not every istikhara is allowed. Not every shura is allowed. He goes to his mufti and says, Shaykh, can you give me a fatwa? I want to commit zina. Is that allowed? No. It's not allowed for him to ask that question. He doesn't have a choice in that matter. You can't, appoint somebody to change that hukum or to change that role in the first place. So, what exactly are we voting for? We need to understand what is a democratic election. We need to understand this clearly and absolutely precisely. Okay, because people will try to make shubahat for you, might try to make special arguments for you. They say, look, actually, just because we are choosing one of them doesn't mean we believe in their own deen, or agree with everything they say. Doesn't mean we believe in all of their policies and so on. They'll say to you that elections, they're like a shura, they're like consultation. They say elections, they are just like appointing a khalifa, the way the Sahaba they gathered to appoint Abu Bakr as-Siddiq as a khalifa. Democracy is built on certain principles and is a Western term. We don't add our own definitions to it. Like somebody wants to say that actually Christianity is Islam, essentially. The Christians have their own belief. So democracy is their deen. So democracy is a term that comes from the Greek. The words demos and kratos. Demos meaning the people, kratos meaning the laws. Meaning the law for the people. Democracy is the law of the people, for the people, by the people. That is their aqeedah, that's what they believe. Okay, that is exactly what they believe. So how do you have laws of the people, for the people, by the people? How do you establish that? How can the people make the laws? You know, if you want to have 70 million people in the UK, how are you going to get 70 million people together in one room to debate a law and decide what we're going to do? You can't do it. You know, it's impossible. So you can't have 70 million people making laws together. So how are you going to have the law of the people, for the people, by the people? So they said what we'll do is, you know, we'll divide that up into constituents. Okay, and from each one, the people will appoint one MP to represent them. They all appoint, you know, for each area, one person to represent the rest of them, because it's still by the people. How? We all in one room say, you know, brother, the brother with the longest beard, mashallah, he will represent us here in so-and-so house, and he will go and speak on behalf of all of us. Okay? It's called al-wikala. So they will choose a wakil, okay, or you can say naib. Okay, it's the same thing. He represents you, your appointed person. So just like when Ja'far, he spoke to Najashi, the Muslims in Abyssinia, they said, he will speak on behalf of all of us. So he went forward and spoke on behalf of all of them. So those 70 million, they need to choose among them just a few people, maybe a couple of hundred, 200, 300, for the whole country, to represent all 70 million. And they sit in a house called Parliament. Okay, they go to a house called Parliament, and they will go there and they will decide what the laws will be for the people and legislate. That is what the MP does. They legislate laws in parliaments. Go to the parliament's website. They don't go there to learn tajweed or to make tafsir of the Qur'an. They go there to legislate laws. Go to Parliament's website officially. The first thing you'll see when they say about us, what is Parliament? Parliament is a house of legislation. And what is an MP? What is his job role? They don't clean streets and they don't, you know, drive taxis. They are legislators. That is their job. Is the only job role they have. Is they are legislators. Their job is to make laws in Parliament. They make the legislation which the rest of the country will then be governed by, be ruled by. Okay, so that's what elections are, the democratic elections. That's what the elections in May are. You are choosing somebody as a wakil, as a naib, representative, somebody to represent you in Parliament. Meaning, you're going to say to a man, look, I want you to go on behalf of me and go into that House of Parliament and make laws on my behalf. Meaning it's me making the laws by you going there. That's what it means. Al-Wikala, representation, that is the principle of it. Is that the wakil, he acts on behalf of the asil, the original person. Okay, when a woman appoints her father as a wakil in the wedding contract, you know, she is giving him authority to act on behalf of her, but she gives that authority to her representative. So when the father then says, I've married my daughter to you, that means she is doing so, because she's appointed him as a wakil, as a representative. If you appoint somebody in your shop, you're an employee, go and sell my car and my phone and so on to the customers. What right does he have to sell your car? Who the hell is he to sell your phone, your products? You made him your representative. That means when he acts on your behalf, he has the authority to sell your car, and you become liable. You have to give the car. After that, because you appointed him, after that you must give the car, because you made him your representative. And the same thing, if you appoint somebody to do a sin or a crime, well, you think you're not going to be accountable? You think, okay, look, it's haram for me to sell or buy alcohol. Okay, so let me hire somebody, he'll sell alcohol for me. Yeah, you're still selling alcohol, you're still sinful. Or say, look, I can't buy drugs because it's haram. So let me appoint somebody, you go and buy drugs for me and then bring it back to me. Here's £10. Akhi, you are sinful. You're sinful just like him. And if you say to somebody, you go, I'll give you £15,000, go and murder so-and-so, I'll give you £15,000. If the person goes and murders him, what, you think you're not a murderer? You think you won't have punishment, counter punishment? When they catch you, you say, no, it wasn't me. He's the one who did it. In every law, even man-made laws, they will say, no, you're just as bad as him. You're both murderers. That's what they will say. And the Sharia as well. The wakil is not the only one. The one he represents, he's liable. So if you tell somebody, go and murder somebody on my behalf, and then he murders him, you're a murderer and you'll be punished. Okay? And if you say to somebody, go and make sujood to an idol on my behalf, in my name, well, you think you're not mushrik? You think just the one who made sujood is mushrik? You're mushrik as well. And the same thing, if you say to the wakil, the MP, go to the house of shirk, this temple called the parliament, and I want you to make laws on my behalf. We are the legislators, not Allah. This is shirk in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what exactly does Allah say about this? Allah says that this is wrong. Okay, Allah teaches us that this whole idea is wrong. Why? Because the law belongs to Allah. We say law is for Allah alone. In al-hukmu illa lillah, amra an la ta'budu illa iyyah. He said the law is only for Allah. In Surah Yusuf verse 40, he said the law is only for Allah. The legislation is only for Allah. In Surah Kahf verse 26, Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَا يُشْرِكُ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا. He said He does not associate any partners with Him in His hukum, in His legislation. Anybody. Do not associate partners with Allah in His legislation. It's not up to us. Not up to us at all. Even Allah Ta'ala said, أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاء شَرَعُوا لَهُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ مَا لَمْ يَأْذَنْ بِهِ اللَّهُ. So do they have partners with Allah that legislate for them a way of life without permission from Allah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared the one who takes partners, who chooses a legislator, they are committing shirk in Allah, taking partners with Allah. Because that's not for man, that is for Allah. So this idea, this whole idea, and this entire action, it is contrary, opposite to the basic foundation of Tawheed, the basic foundation of Islam. That's what makes us Muslim. We say, La ilaha illallah. We say there is none worthy to be worshipped, obeyed or followed except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the basic foundation of Islam. And then you want to say to me, no, it's okay, we can worship other than Allah. We can choose legislators instead of Allah. Okay, why not? What's the big deal? This is the deen of the kuffar. This is the ibadah. This is the worship of the kuffar. This is their own festival that's coming up this election. Like their own Christmas, like their own Easter. Is their own festival. The same way we don't wear Father Christmas hat and come out saying Merry Christmas. We don't go out in the election times carrying the ballot box or carrying, voting, putting a paper in the ballot box, imitating the mushrikeen. It's imitating the kuffar. The worst of it, you become mushrik just like them. What we need to understand, some people, they never really understood what shirk is. Okay? Some people, they think the shirk is only to worship the graves, make dua to the graves. And we learnt and studied about the shirk of the poor people. All those poor people in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in India, they go into the graves and they're all worshipping the graves, making dua to the graves. So it's about time we learnt about the shirk of the VIPs. Those very important MPs and the very important presidents and prime ministers, they have shirk as well. Pick on the poor people and say, look, all of you you're all mushrikeen. Why? Because you go to the graves. What about all those mushrikeen going to the parliaments? What about all those mushrikeen going to United Nations? What about all those mushrikeen going to the ballot box in the elections? Well, you don't need to forbid that one. You only need to forbid the other one because it's easier for you. Because the poor people are not going to fight back. They're not going to arrest you, are they? The MP and the Prime Minister, they're going to arrest you. Yes, if we want to fight against the shirk, we want to confront the shirk, we have to have patience and sabr because they will attack us. They will have impact upon us. Shirk could be many things. Shirk is for the creation to worship, follow or obey another creation. This is one way of defining for us the shirk. Whenever the creation worships, follows or obeys another creation, that is the shirk. Because the only one we worship and follow and obey is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another way of defining the shirk we could say is to offer any of the ritual acts of ibadah, ritual acts of worship to other than Allah. This is shirk. Whether that was dua, or it was slaughtering in the name of other than Allah, or it was sujood in front of the idol, or in front of the queen, or in front of whoever, or it could be as well tahakum, seeking the judgment and the laws from other than Allah is shirk. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said in Majmu' al-Fatawa, he said at-tahakum is ibadah from the ibadat. It is worship from the ritual acts of worship. Because Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Nisa verse 60, He said, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ يَزْعُمُونَ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ يُرِيدُونَ أَن يَتَحَاكَمُوا إِلَى الطَّاغُوتِ وَقَدْ أُمِرُوا أَن يَكْفُرُوا بِهِ. He said, have you seen those who falsely claim to believe in what was revealed to you and what was revealed before you? And yet they seek judgments from other than Allah. They want to seek judgments from other than Allah when they were ordered to reject it. They were ordered to disbelieve in it. So we need to understand that this is a form of shirk as well. When we start to take the laws from other than Allah, we establish legislators instead of Allah. There are three types of authority. Okay, three types of authority. Okay, as-sulta. Number one, legislative authority. This is called Sulta Tashri'iyya. This is number one. And you have as well Sulta Tanfidiyya, executive authority. And you have number three, Sulta Qada'iyya, judicial authority. And the way it works, so according to democracy, the legislative authority is Parliament, MPs, MEPs, etc. Okay, House of Lords. So the parliaments, they are the legislative authority. They decide what is the law. Okay, and then you have the executive authority. That is the Prime Minister. Okay, or you might have presidents in some countries, the ministers, mayors, councillors. I mean, all of those people that will actually make policies and decisions and implement whatever Parliament says. So there's a link between this. Whatever the Parliament says, these executive authorities, they're the ones who actually have to execute it and administer it. They have the administration. They have no choice except to implement what the law says, what the Parliament says. The Prime Minister can't just make up his own laws whenever he likes. Okay, that's not how it works in democracy. Whatever the law in Parliament says, they implement it here. And if the Parliament changes its mind, they have to change their mind, because they take their laws from Parliament. They don't take it from themselves. They don't decide it themselves. Okay, so these are the executive authorities. And then you have the judicial authorities. They are the courts, the judges, the magistrates, and so on. All of them, crown courts, all of them, they do the same job. Their job is to remove disputes. When the people, they dispute over with each other, okay, they go to the court, and the courts, what do you think? They just make up the ruling as they go along? No, they have to take whatever the Parliament says. So they must judge by the law of Parliament. So this is the real authority, the legislative authority. That is the one who makes the laws. And the courts judge by those laws. And even sometimes the judge will say, look, I disagree with it, but that's what the law says. And that's how, and they have to judge with it, judge by it. They have no choice. So in a democracy, the people make the laws, and the people implement the laws of the people. Okay, the laws of the people, by the people, for the people. In the Sharia, in Islam, the legislative authority is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, exclusively. There's no way for anybody to make laws except for Allah. And the people who have the executive authority, they are who? Is the Khalifa, his governors, the walis, whatever position they have in the states, they will implement only the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, وَأَنِحْكُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ. Rule and judge by whatever Allah revealed, and don't follow their desires. Allah left no room for you to say we will follow different laws, only the laws of Allah ta'ala. So you have only one choice, to rule by what Allah revealed. You take Allah as a legislator. The whole concept of democracy is shirk from its roots, because he said no, there is no Allah involved in legislation. As far as democracy is concerned, Allah has got nothing to do with it. It's only the people. They want to say that not any hukm illa lillah, that is not, the right legislation is only for Allah. This is no, the right to legislation is only for what? For ash-sha'b, an-nas, for the people. That's what they believe. Whereas in Islam is opposite. And in the Sharia we have as well courts. And we have judges. All of them, they are judges that will judge in their courts to remove the disputes of the people according to what Allah revealed alone. So there's a difference between democracy and Islam, a Khilafah system. These are human positions. Human beings are allowed to be, judges are allowed to be, in authority, executive authority, as long as they rule by whatever Allah revealed, or judge by whatever Allah revealed. But this, it is the role of the Creator. That belongs to the Creator. Okay, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What these two are doing by going to the laws of this authority is worship. Okay, so they are worshipping. When you judge by this law, you are worshipping the one who made that law. When you rule by this law, you are worshipping the one who made these laws. That is ibadah. That is the worship. So the Muslim, we understand, this is the Lord, the Creator, and these are the creation, the worshippers. They are saying to you, let's choose the Lord for us to worship. Let's choose the Lord for us, to legislate the laws for us, for our society. They're saying to you, choose your Rabb. Who is your Rabb that you want? Do you want your Rabb to be Labour MP, or Conservative MP, or Liberal Democrats MP, or Respect MP, or whoever? Whatever, it doesn't make any difference to us. What they're basically saying to you is, no, if you worship me, I'll give you a mosque. And he's saying to you, if you worship me, I'll give you 2 mosques. So they say to you, Akhi, which ones are lesser of the 2 evils? They are all shirk. They are all tawaghit. People make all the excuses for the shirk. And they say necessity, because we have no choice, and the haram becomes halal because of necessity, and because of the lesser of the 2 evils, and because of the maslahah, and because of all these problems, therefore become halal. Why is the jihad not halal? Well, the mujahideen, they did something to remove that evil of those authorities as well. They took charge and declared khilafah. What was wrong with that? What was wrong with that? They said, no, it's khuruj, it's haram. Even if you say it's haram, I thought you said necessity makes haram halal. I thought you said all of that maslahah makes even the haram and the shirk and the kufr halal. Why not the jihad? Jihad was never haram in the first place. The whole idea of compromise with Islam, commit the kufr, commit the shirk, adopt and imitate the mushrikeen in their own deen, in their own religion, in their own kufr, in order to get a little bit of maslahah, that is hypocrisy, is being two-faced, and is complete bid'ah as a minimum, and deviation and misguidance, and kufr as well in the highest. Wa akhir da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.